Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is ChukwunonsoCaptures, aka Mazi. Check 'em, aka the photo cosmetic surgeon, and welcome to my first YouTube video. And we're in Photo Lab right now. So I got a great treat for you guys today. This is going to be a Photoshop tutorial. I'm going to show you how to make this picture. Look like this picture. All right, so that's a picture of Annie. She's a great model. Basically, what I did on my Instagram page a while back was that I ran a contest. It was called the Chukwunonso Capture Me Next contest, right? And in that contest, people interacted on my page, and I put names in a hat, and there was a drawing, and then whoever won basically got a free photo shoot with editing and things like that and behind the scenes, and she was one of the winners. So I'm gonna show you guys how I edit that picture. So follow me to my laptop and I'm gonna get started here. Hope you guys enjoy it. All right, let's go. All right, so welcome to the operating room. So this is a great picture that Annie took. So like I said, she was one of the winners of the Chukwunonso Capture Me Next contest. So I'm gonna retouch, I'm gonna edit this picture for her. She's also an actress, so I think I'm gonna link her social media in the comments, so check her out. She does great work. So she did a great job with this picture. She liked this concept. She kind of let me know about this idea that she wanted with the mirror. So we took this picture and yeah, I think it turned out really good. And so I'm gonna show you guys basically how I edit this picture in Photoshop. There's a few phases of editing this picture that I'm gonna go through, right? I'm gonna go through frequency separation, and then after that, the mixer brush tool, and then after that, dodging and burning. And then I'm gonna do some special effects, like some cinematic split toning, or adding some vignettes, maybe adding like a smoky, mystical look to it, right? So I'll go through all those really quick. Frequency separation, what that is separating the low frequencies on a picture from the high frequencies. Low frequencies are kind of the very distinct elements, like, you know, the pores on the skin, you know, things like that. High frequency, or sorry, that was high frequency. High frequency is kind of like the more distinct elements that you see, like, you know, like the pores on the skin, you know, things like that, tiny little, you know, things that you can see, tiny bumps, things like that, right? The low frequency now is just kind of like the parts that are just the color, just the color, the smooth parts. So I'm gonna separate them and work on each part individually, and it'll make a little bit more sense once I go through it. So frequency separation, mixer brush is me mixing all the different colors. So as you can see, there's different colors on her face. You can see a little bit of white here from the studio lights, a little bit of red here from the makeup, darker brown here from the shadow from her nose, you know, lighter brown here. So it's just kind of making a smooth transition between all the different colors in the picture. So that is what mixer brush, that's what the mixer brush tool does. And then you have dodging and burning. Dodging and burning is essentially, dodging and burning is basically making a smooth transition between any highlights, midtones, and shadows. Right here is basically a really good example of highlights, midtone, and shadows, right? So let me zoom into her forehead a little bit. So you have some highlights here, some light, like a lighter color here, mid-tone here. You see like this mid, kind of like a lighter brown, and then here's some shadow, some darker brown here. So dodging and burning will just be kind of like mixing it so it's like a nice smooth transition. That way, everything on the skin looks like it's very smooth, firm, almost porcelain-like. You know what I'm saying? And then finally, the last part that I'm going to do is just some special effects, some cinematic split toning. I'll explain what that is later. And also a little bit of, I'm going to add a vignette, and that's kind of like the dark corners around a picture, and maybe like a smoky look, a smoky effect. So we'll see how it turns out, right? So today, what I'm going to do is basically, since Annie has deeper skin tones, I'm going to do a Photoshop tutorial for how you edit someone with deeper skin tones. And then later on, if you guys subscribe to my channel, you will see a video of me doing a Photoshop tutorial for someone with lighter skin tones. So the technique is a little bit different for both. That's why I'm going to cover it in 2 different videos. And so I'm gonna go ahead here and run my Photoshop action. And this is going to quickly make all the layers for me. This is something that I've kind of programmed into Photoshop. An action here is gonna make all the layers. You're gonna see them pop up here. But basically, if you want to, I'm not gonna cover how to make all the actions or how to make all the layers right now in this video, because the video will be really, really long. But I'm gonna make another video. So subscribe to my channel, and in that other video, I'm gonna show you how to make each one of these. So I'm gonna hit the play button, and you see it's creating all these layers here. And so let us begin. I'm going to show you how to, like I said, later on, I'm going to show you guys how to make these. But I'm just going to, right now, I'm going to just hop right into the editing itself. So first step here is to deactivate this high frequency layer, so that, and then click on this low frequency layer so that it is active and visible. So this is a low frequency layer. And this is a layer that's just going to contain all of the colors, just the spots, the areas that are in between any of the, you know, the pores or anything like that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to filter, and I prefer doing there's different types of blurs that you can use. Some people use Gaussian, but I like doing a surface blur. So what the surface blur does, I like it a little bit better than Gaussian blurs. You can see it's blurring a lot of her skin, but it's keeping a few tiny little pores and things like that, which is okay. I like it a little bit better because it makes the picture, it just kind of retains a little bit more of that realistic feel in the picture itself. So you just kind of play with the radius and the threshold to get it to where you want it to be. And so what I'm paying more so attention to is like this area right here, like her cheek. I want just enough textures, just enough difference, and the textures is just the difference between, you know, a smooth part or a highlight, mid-tone, or shadow. Okay, good enough. Surface blur. The thing that I don't like so much about surface blur is that it kind of takes a while to apply the settings. Gaussian blur tends to be a little bit quicker. I think the reason why is because surface blur is being careful not to remove too much of the pores and everything like that. Okay, so now that that's done, see this high frequency layer that we had, the high frequency texture layer. So we blurred the low frequency layer, but this high frequency layer up here, I'm going to make that active. And what I'm going to do is go to image, apply image, and I'm going to apply this low frequency blur layer to the high frequency layer, so that I'm going to be making changes here, but it's almost kind of going to be like, you know, affecting both of them, right? So low frequency blur, sometimes when you're doing this, it won't be selected automatically, but you're gonna hit low frequency blur for layer, and the blending mode is gonna be subtract, right? And the scale is gonna be 2, and the offset is gonna be 128. Usually, pretty much, I think whenever you do it, the opacity is usually automatically set to 100 and everything like that. But the blending and the layer and the scale and offset are usually the things that you have to change. So you're gonna hit OK. And then the way that you're gonna blend this high frequency layer is that you're going to go to a blending mode of linear light. And you'll know that you followed the steps correctly if basically this looks just like it did in the very beginning, right? Like if you were to Alt or Option on a Mac, click, so Option click on a Mac or Alt click on a PC on this bottom layer, right? It would look exactly the same, right? So when I Alt click or Option click on the bottom layer, what it does is it deactivates all the layers above it, as you can see, right? So it looks exactly the same. Now, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start blurring. I'm going to start frequency. Well, I've done the frequency separation of. Basically, there's 2 different layers here. And what I'm going to do is hold down spacebar, and then a hand comes up, and you can kind of just move it around, right? And so what I'm going to do is come up here and grab the lasso tool. Let me zoom in a little bit. And you could also, another way to zoom in is to hit Control or Command on the Mac, and then the plus button. That's good enough. So what I want to do is highlight. So I'm going to start blurring now, right? I'm going to start blurring parts of her skin. So I'm going to lasso part of her skin, start on her forehead right here, and so that gets selected, right? And what you want to do is, so basically what you want to do is you want to select part of her forehead here, and then type in 20 for the feather rate of the pixels. It just kind of makes this selection a lot smoother. That's what the 20 does. 20, I found that works well on most pictures. So what you do is you select it, type in 20 up here. Right, you just hit enter. It should make any changes to the smoothness of this line if it's not already typed in for you. And then you're gonna hit filter, blur, and surface blur like we did before. And then I'm just going to now blur individually this part of her forehead. That looks. So it's gonna take a little bit of time for this one part, but it gets easier with time, I promise. Then all I'm gonna do is just I won't have to hit these slider bars over and over. Let me preview that. Yeah, so you see the difference, you see what it's doing. I'm just hitting the preview button up here and seeing what type of blur it's giving me. As you can see, it kind of smoothed out. Let me hit the preview again. It kind of smoothed out like parts of her skin that were, you know, just some were more highlighted, some were more shadowed, some were higher, some were a little bit darker. So that's what it did. Okay, so that's good enough. I'm gonna hit OK. So it applied those changes. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. So this is just a lot of iterative changes over time. So to all of my clients, this is the reason why it takes me a while to edit your pictures. All this intricate care taken. So once that this part has been surface blur, I'm going to hit Control or Command on the Mac D to deselect it, and I'm just going to move around to the other parts of her face, just selecting the next part, right? So I'm going to do here. like that. And I'm just gonna hit Control or Command on a Mac, Option on a Mac, or Alt on a PC, and F. And that applied that same filter from before, if you saw that change. So let me go back to over here to the lasso. You see that? And I'm going to reapply the surface blur. You see that? That's what it did. So I'm just going to Control D to deselect, or Command D to deselect. Command D for the Mac. And I'm just going to go around different parts of her face. I'm going to try to avoid, you know, parts like her eyes, or, you know, parts where there's like major changes in her facial features and things like that. And like her mouth and her lips, just kind of like where the skin is. And I'm just gonna apply that surface blur. So hit that. So I'm going to do Control Alt F or Command Option F. It's gonna apply that. There we go. It's gonna apply that blur. Move this down a little bit. Control D or Command D. And just going to get the rest of the parts of the face. Apply the filter, Control D. You know, I didn't really like that one, so let me go back. It kind of got, see, I didn't like that. I'm gonna deselect. It kind of got a little bit of the gray over here. The gray mixed into her skin. Saw that? I don't like that. So I'm gonna Control D, and I'm gonna be a little bit careful to just only, oops, I'm gonna be a little bit more careful to only select, Control D, deselect that. And just be a little bit more careful to not get close to the backdrop, that gray backdrop. Control Alt F. It keeps doing it. Let me go back. You know what? This part of her, it's basically all highlight anyway. So, to be honest with you, I can probably get away with not even frequency separating this portion. So, you know what? Let me go back. I'm just gonna leave that part alone. Doesn't matter because I'm gonna hit this with a mixer brush and smooth everything out. It won't make any difference at all. Smooth that out a little bit. Also, her wrist, I should say. And you could do it, you can hit this a few different times. So you can hit Control Alt F 2 or 3 times, and the more you do it, the more the blur is applied. I just did it twice for that part of the wrist. Twice. You know, in the comment section, let me know how many Mac users versus PC users are on this. Because I'm kind of explaining how each of the like the buttons to use. So I'm hitting Control D to deselect. And I'm going to hit forehead again one more time like this. Alt F. Let me know who on my Command Option F people are, the Mac users, in the comment section. Okay, so Control D. I'm PC all day. But I know I do have an iPhone. But I know Apple people are very passionate about their products. Okay, so let me see if I can do this one more time. Do one Serious surgery here, because so I mean there's software that can do a lot of this for you, but you know, nothing like having a photographer hand touch all of these pictures and really target the areas that are best, that are, you know, that need exactly what you want. Okay, so this is pretty good. Doesn't look amazing right now, but we're gonna add a little bit more of some finishing touches to this to really get it to where it needs to be. And the interesting about this picture, she has a reflection. She has a reflection over here, so I'm gonna try to maybe do the same thing on the reflection, to be honest with you. The reflection kind of has like blur going on. This is an interesting editing job here. It's like double the work. So I'm not gonna do too much work on the reflection. Is when I do the I hit it with the mixer brush. I'm gonna pay more attention to the reflection to get it to where it needs to be, because the reflection is already kind of blurry. So I'm gonna alt click here, so you can see it before and after, so you can see what it looks like right now. See alt. See that? That's what we've done thus far. All right. So that's the change thus far. As you can see, it's kind of, you know, evened out. Our skin doesn't look perfect. Doesn't look the way we want it to right now, but it's good enough. So the next step is what I usually like to do is I'm going to hit this photo icon to create a group, and I'm going to take these two layers here, the high frequency and the low frequency. I'm going to shift click both of them, right, and I'm going to click and drag them into this group here, right. Now that they're in this group, I'm going to leave this group here as a backup in case I don't like what I'm about to do next. That way I can have I could always go back to this and start all over in case I make a mistake. So this group one right here, I'm just going to drag it up to this plus sign, and this plus sign is going to duplicate it for me. This is a copy now, right? So what I want to do with this copy, since this copy has the same layers in it, what I want to do is turn it into a smart object, which means it compresses it to one layer. So I'm going to right click on it and convert to smart object. So a smart object is basically just kind of like a regular layer, but it remembers every change that you make to it so that you can undo it. You know what I'm saying? But after it changes to a smart object, I'm going to collapse all the layers into one, because that's the only thing that'll allow me to hit everything with the mixer brush. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in a second. So now it's a smart object. I'm going to rasterize. Rasterize. So rasterize this layer. And now this is all one layer, and it's going to let me hit this with the mixer brush. Now we're getting into the interesting part of it. Now you're going to really start to see some change and kind of a lot of the editing coming to life. So like I said before, the mixer brush is just mixing in a lot of colors. Now there's a special technique with the mixer brush, and you really want to be careful. So I just hit this mixer brush tool. So that mixer brush tool is right here. Now, if you look up here, you can see that the brush load tool is white. So you actually want it to be transparent. You don't want to add white onto the picture. So I'm pretty sure what you got to do is you got to hit this. So this is load the brush after each stroke. So you hit this to make it, yep, you got to hit it twice because black showed up. So you got to hit this twice so that you can see up here it's transparent. It has like the kind of like that gray and white checkerboard, so that you're not adding extra white onto the picture. You don't want that. And so what I'm going to do is, let me zoom in a little bit. What I'm going to do is start targeting certain areas. And basically what you want to do is, when I'm hitting the left and right bracket key to make the brush bigger. Oh, another thing that's very important with the mixer brush is, you come up here, you want to make a soft brush, so turn the hardness all the way down. That's important. And then these settings here, wet, load, mix, and flow. You can play with these, but I usually set them to around 30 or 40. A lot of these basically just control how much of the colors you're mixing in and basically how fluid the colors move around. You don't want them to be too high. You don't want these to go past, like, you know, like 60 or something like that. I'm not gonna go into what each one of these mean. 55, I think I was editing someone else's picture. 55 is kind of high, so I'm gonna set this back to 40. If you are newer, if you're basically a beginner in Photoshop, if you're a beginner using Photoshop, you probably want to set these as low as possible. If you're, you know, heavy-handed, basically. So what I'm going to do is start with certain areas and mix in everything in the area first, and then mix in basically all the colors in an area that have the same color, and then mix the colors together. Like, for example, see this darker brown here? I'm going to mix this separately, and then I'm going to mix the red separately, and then I'm going to mix the two together in the middle. So let me just start now, hitting it with the mixer brush, and you're going to see that what it does is it kind of smooths out any pores. So it's almost kind of like, I don't know, I think you ladies maybe call it foundation. Maybe this is what it does. Maybe I'm right about this, maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comment section. But it's almost kind of like adding foundation. See that? That's the red, and then there's the brown. I'm going to mix the two together here. Oh yeah, and the shakiness up here, I think it's called shakiness of the brush. Smooth stroke, yeah, okay. Use higher values for the shakiness. I usually set that to around 10%. If you set it higher, it just doesn't make the brush look nice. The effects of the brush look nice, I should say. So just hit it with the mixer brush. It just takes a little bit of time, but you kind of cover one area at a time. Now, I'm gonna go over to this white area. See, what I don't want to do is brush from the white all the way into here. It's just gonna create this streak of, you know, white that's just really not gonna look good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus just here. Focus here. Smooth all this out. Right, and then I'm going to worry about the interface between the white and kind of like that red portion where her makeup was. See that? So that's how you're going to do that smooth transition. And I'm probably going to speed up this part of the video. Because you kind of get the idea. It just seems like it's taking too long. You can play with these a little bit. If it's the brush seems a little bit too weak. The wetness, the load, mix, and the flow. But like I said, if you're a beginner, you probably want to start off slow. Start off with lower numbers. right, and we're back. And we are back. Okay, so this isn't quite the finished product, but it's looking a little bit closer and closer to it. So one of the beauties of making this, you know, this group copy and the layer and everything is you can basically adjust the opacity of this top layer, right? That basically means how much it, you know, opacity is basically just how much. What's a good way to explain opacity? How much it covers the bottom layers. You know what I'm saying? So what I tend to do is I tend to overdo it a little bit and then dial it back down. So I mixed in a lot of the colors and I think this looks okay, but what I want to do is come here and then dial this back down, dial back the opacity of this top layer to kind of bring back some of the imperfections of the layer underneath and just see how that looks. See, I just took it down to 79 and that looks okay. That looks a little bit better. That's a little bit more of what I'm used to. It looks a little bit more natural. See, if I go all the way to 100, I don't know if you guys can see that on Photoshop, on YouTube, but I can. 73 right now. Well, let me zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. See, this is dialing down the opacity, and then the layer underneath shows. I'm going to dial it back up a little bit, and I think around 70, in the 70s, looks good. So I'm going to keep it like that. So right now I'm liking the way it looks. So I'm going to hop right into dodging and burning. So dodging is lightening the picture and burning is darkening certain parts of it. So I'm going to hit the dodge layer up here and I'm going to hit the brush, so the regular brush this time, not the mixer brush down here. And I'm going to brush whites onto this picture. So this dodge layer is imagine that there is a really brightened version of this picture here on this dodge layer. And what I'm doing is I'm using white to reveal that layer. So what I'm going to do is I'll usually use an opacity, a brushing opacity of 70. That's usually good. And the flow, you want to make that really low. I usually make it 3. Smoothing, you keep it at 10%. And then what I'm going to do is any of the highlights, any of the highlight areas, I'm going to dodge that. And any of the dark areas, I'm going to very lightly burn them. I usually don't burn too much because it then doesn't make the models, their face can basically look as feminine as it should. So I'm going to start dodging and burning. So the highlights, the really light parts, I'm going to press them a little bit harder on the brush. So I just hit the light parts. Try to find those bigger, smooth areas. I'm just going to make some smoother brush strokes. So I'm just going to focus on the lightest parts of the picture. Parts that are like really light brown, something like that. Thing that I like about dodging and burning is if you ever make a mistake, you can just hit this button here to hide. So black hides and white reveals. So I think I dodged this part of her arm a little bit too much. So I'm just going to color it back I'm gonna hide it back black, right? So I'm going to Alt or Option click on this dodge mask right here. So I'm gonna Alt click, and you see I kind of overdid it a little bit here, but I'm using black here to kind of almost erase it away. So if you look, it'll start kind of looking like her a little bit. You can't tell now, but I'm going to Alt click back on this mask to reveal her again. And continue dodging. Okay, so I've dodged most of the picture. Now I'm going to go in and start burning. Like I said, I burned very lightly, and I'm going to turn the opacity down to maybe like 50. I don't want to overdo it. Nope, not 500, 50. And just lightly touch the dark areas, probably mostly focusing on the dark ones. So with someone with deeper, richer skin tones like her, when you want to transition between like the light area here and the dark area here, you usually burn. Do like just very light burning. With someone with lighter skin tones, you usually dodge to transition. So I don't want to do too much. So again, I'm brushing whites onto this layer here. So I'm going to Alt click on to see how it looks. Yep. Just very subtle. And this is just to create a difference between the light areas and the dark areas to make the picture look a little bit more dramatic. All right, very good. So let me see if I can increase the color saturation a little bit more and the vibrancy. So I'm going to go down here. I want to add a hue saturation layer to the top. Let me drag this all the way up to the very top. Just make the picture a little bit more colorful. So I'm going to saturate this a little bit more, see what that looks like. Okay. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a little bit more contrast in the picture. So I'm going to go here to black and white, right? There's a black and white layer here, but I'm not going to keep it as black and white. I'm going to go up to the blend mode, and I'm going to make it maybe an overlay, something like that. And then I'm going to reduce the opacity of this overlay because I don't want it to be that much of a contrast. And there we go. So that adds just a little bit more depth to the picture. As you can see, I'm going to turn the layer on and off. That adds a little bit more depth and mystery to it. Like 17%, a little bit too much. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to give it that cinematic look. A bit of a cinematic layer. So I'm going to go to Gradient Map and whatever's on the left might be, I forget what the shadows or highlights. So I'm going to double click this, and to get that cinematic look, you want orange on one side and on the other. So I think, but basically you want orange in the highlights and blue in the shadows, I believe. So I'm going to double click this dropper tool here. Orange. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comment section. But orange on one side and then blue on the other. If I'm wrong about which one is highlights and shadows, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Sometimes I get it mixed up. But I just know that I know how it's supposed to look, basically. So when I make it look good, that's how I know that I did it right. Click the OK button. I forget which side is highlights or shadows, but what I'm going to do is I think it's usually good as an overlay, and I'm going to drop the opacity a little bit so it looks the right one. There we go. That looks like orange in the highlights and blue in the shadows. If I don't think it looks good, all I can do is hit the reverse button over here. Just go by feel, but not kind of like this one. I go by feel, but you know, kind of like it like this. Yeah, because it looks like there's some blue in her hair. And some orange. Yeah, so this is orange in her hair. This is blue in her hair. And her hair has highlights in it, so highlights is on the left, shadows is on the right. So yeah, so now what I'm going to do to add a little bit more of an interesting, what I'm going to do to add a little bit more. So now what I'm going to do to add a little bit more of an interesting look to it, I'm going to come back down here to, let me get this layer. Drag this up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is to make this a little bit more interesting is I'm going to go to this group 1 copy. I'm going to turn it back into a smart object. And then as a smart object, I'm going to add a vignette. A vignette is kind of like the dark corners around the picture. So this is kind of to get like that moody, mystical feel to it. And the only reason why I'm making it a smart object is because, and the reason why I'm making it a smart object is because if I don't like the way the vignette looks, I want to be able to change it. So let me go to, I think it's lens correction, custom, vignette. Let me slide this down. Okay. There we go. I like that. Got that vignette look going on, and you know what? Let me see if we can. Do a little bit more with that vignette. I'm going to make the midpoint a little bit closer. Let me overdo it all. Actually, I'm not going to do it. So as I'm sliding this picture here is changing. Let me go like halfway in between the two. The OK button. See how that looks, just to make it look more mysterious. So like I'm increasing the darkness around the corners, and it's gonna be, yeah, that looks a little bit better. So now what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna add kind of like a smoky effect, like a smoky look, you know, just to kind of make it look hazy and green like. So I'm gonna come in and add a layer, and then I'm gonna go to filter, I think it is, render, and then clouds. Yeah, so now I have some clouds, and what I'm gonna do is what I'm going to do is I don't want it covering the picture, obviously. This is a normal blend mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlay the clouds like this, right? And I don't want this big mass of clouds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread it out a little bit more so that I can see more of her face in between the clouds, in between all like the puffs of smoke kind of the cloud. So what I'm going to do to spread it out so that I can see more of her face is I'm going to hit, with this layer selected, I'm going to hit edit, retransform. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm just going to get it here. I'm just going to hit this to zoom it out, like that. I'm just going to find a spot that I would like. It's all pretty uniform. I'm trying to find a spot that I would like to like move it around to be in front of her face. So zoom out a little bit. Yeah, it's like a dark puff coming up over here. That makes it look a little interesting. Zoom back in. Yeah, just around a little bit, just so I can get a little bit more feel for this. I want this to look a little irregular, so I'm gonna put this here, not perfectly in the middle. That way I have this here. Okay, good enough. So I'm gonna commit those changes by hitting the check. And I don't want it to look exactly like this. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lower the opacity of these clouds a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I kind of like this. I kind of like this, but you know, I don't want this covering her face too much. So what I might want to do, you know what? I'm gonna just overdo it. Not overdo it, but I'm gonna go back to this vignette. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to this vignette, and I'm going to make it as far as I can. Only like really focusing on like just her face. There we go. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a mask to this layer. I'm gonna basically add a mask to this layer, the clouds layer, right? Add layer mask, and then I'm gonna paint black with this to kind of reveal some of her face, right? So this is a white layer here. That means all the clouds are showing. So I'm gonna paint black on this white layer. It's going to hide some of the clouds. And I don't want to use such a low flow, the same flow that I was using for like dodging and burning and everything else. So I'm gonna set this to, I don't want it too high, but let me set this to 70. All right, and then I'm gonna show some of her face. I got everything right. I'm gonna show some of her face. I don't want all that hard work that I did to kind of go away. Dodging and burning and all that stuff. But yeah, there we go. So that's kind of moved away from her face. And maybe I overdid it. So I'm going to see if I Alt or Option click here, you'll see what I removed, what I hid with black. I'm gonna Alt and or Option click back on this layer mask that I made. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna hit the X button on the keyboard. X is in xylophone. and see it automatically switches the white and the black. See, I'm gonna keep hitting X so you can see what I'm talking about here. So X, so this is going to reveal, the white is going to reveal the cloud. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint a few back, paint a little bit of cloud back on. There we go, because I kind of overdid it last time when I was hiding clouds. Reveal some more clouds. Okay. Yeah, I think this is pretty much it. Like, yeah, this is, I think I like this. I think this has the effect that we're looking for. So send it to her and let her know and ask her what she thinks about it. And the good thing about this is that I have all my layers here. I can always dial up or dial down the opacity to make the look, to make it look more dramatic or less dramatic. So that's a good way to, you know, edit in Photoshop, is basically make everything you know, able to be dialed up or dialed down to get the look that you want, right? That's how you get pictures looking really good. Change this level, yeah. That way you can just change it to your client's needs. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know I sure did. So let me know what you guys want to see next, any type of editing styles or any type of effects that you want to see in Photoshop or Lightroom. I'm going to make some videos for that too. Shout out to Annie, who is a great actress and a great model as well too. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button, write a comment down below, subscribe, hit the bell so that you know whenever I post new videos, and share this with a friend. All my social media is also linked below. All right, see you in the next video. Take care. Happy shooting.